Welcome to Really Run Tutorials. Today I'll be showing you how to do the 2.7.6 packet tracer. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on this dock button down here. We'll click cancel here, then the dock, and that'll just keep it in place here. So I'm going to read out the questions and walk you through how to do them yourself. Packet tracer, implement basic connectivity. Addressing table, we'll be using this later. Objectives. Part 1, perform a basic configuration on switch 1 and switch 2. Part 2, configure the PCs. Part 3, configure the switch management interface. Background. In this activity, you will first create a basic switch configuration. Then you will implement basic connectivity by configuring IP addressing on switches and PCs. When the IP addressing configuration is complete, you will use various show commands to verify the configuration and use the ping command to verify basic connectivity between devices. Instructions. Part 1. Perform a basic configuration on switch 1 and switch 2. Step 1. Configure switch 1 with a host name. Click switch 1 and then click the CLI tab. Switch 1 is here, S1. Click it, and here we're in the CLI tab. Enter the correct command to configure the host name as switch 1. So in step 1, configure switch 1 with a host name. Click on switch 1. Then click CLI tab, which is right here, and then enter the correct command to configure the host name on switch 1. So to do that, you're just going to go down here, click here, hit enter, so that we're going to be in the console. Type in enable. This will bring you to privileged exec mode. You can type in config space T, hit enter, and this will bring you to privileged exec configuration mode. Type in hostname space, then the name, which is S1 for switch 1, then hit enter. And step 2, configure the console and encrypt privileged exec mode passwords. Use Cisco for the console password. Use class for the privileged exec mode password. So to do that, we're going to type in line space con space 0, hit enter, and then we're going to type in password space Cisco, hit enter. That should set the password for the user exec mode to be Cisco, and type in login, and type in exit to test this, and let's see, exit one more time, enter, enter. So here we go. It asks for the password. We can type in Cisco, enter, and then we can get into user exec mode. So go back to enable again, enter, and then let's type in enable secret class, hit enter. Oh, hold on, we gotta go back to config T, enter. Now let's do enable space secret, I'm gonna set up again, enable secret class, hit enter, and then if we click on, now just to set the banner, or actually first let's go back and test this out. Type in exit, exit, enter. So first one is Cisco, enter, enable, and ask for a password. The password is class, enter. Now we're back to privileged exec mode. Now let's go back to config space T, hit enter. Let's do set the banner. So the banner is going to be B-A-N-N-E banner. Or hold on, let's back up for a second. So we just did step 2. We're going to go to step 3 now, and we've verified it. Now we're going to set a banner. So to do that, you have to be in config T mode.
Good night, everyone. Good night.
Then you can type in banner. Hold on. Cursor on way banner. Then you do MOTD for message of the day, space, do quotes. And the message of the day is going to be authorized access only. Violators will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law. So ACCE. Violators will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law, period. Alright, and we just hit enter. Now let's do exit and exit again. And this way we can go back and check what we've done so far. So hit enter. It'll ask you for the password to go into user exec mode. This is Cisco. And you won't be able to see the password we typed for their security. So you'll just have to spell it right and hit enter, and it should log you in. Now let's do enable again. Oh, and here's our banner. It shows up. Enable, enter, and it should ask for a password. It is class, and all that is working. Alright, step 4. Save the configurations file to NVRAM. Which command do you use to accomplish this task? So to do this, all you gotta do is type in copy space run space start enter, and then it'll ask you if this is the destination file name, and you'll hit enter, and it'll say okay, and then you're done. Now let's go down here to step 5, and it'll say repeat steps 1 to 5 for switch 2. So just gonna X out of this, click on switch 2. We are in the CLI tab. Go down here, hit enter. We're in switch, type in enable, and then click in, and then let's just read over here what we're supposed to do. Enter the host name, so we're gonna name it host name. Now for switch 2, they want us to label it as switch 2. So we'll do S2. Because I think for the last one we did switch 1. Yeah. So we're going to name it switch 2. Hit enter. Oh, and here I got an error. It says right here. That's just because I forgot to go into the config T mode. Config space T, hit enter. Then we'll do host name space S2, and that's the name switch 2. Type in line con 0, enter, password, and the password is going to be Cisco. Hit enter, and type in log in, hit enter, exit, and we'll do enable secret class, hit enter, and we'll type in banner space MOTD for the rest of the day, and quotes, authorized access only. Violators will be prosecuted to the full extent of the law, period. Okay, yep, that's right. Hit enter, type in exit, then exit, and then enter, so we can check it. Password should be Cisco. And again, you won't be able to see the password while you're typing. Enter. Type in enable. The password is class, enter, and it's also named switch2, just so you notice that. And there's our banner up there, forgot to mention again. And then to save it, you gotta do copy, run, start, enter, enter, and that's done. Alright. Now into part 2, configure the PCs. Configure PC 1 and PC 2 with IP addresses. Let's X out of here. Step 1, configure both PCs with IP addresses. Click on PC 1 and then click the desktop tab. Click there. Click IP configuration in the addressing, so just right here with IP configuration. In the addressing table above, you can see the IP address for PC 1 is 192.168.1.1 and the subnet mask is 255.255.255.0. Enter this information for PC 1 in the IP configuration window. So here's the window. Here's the IPv4 address. We're just going to type in this IP address, and it'll also be up here. So we have PC1, there's that IP address for it, and there'll be one for PC2 when we do that later. Let's go back down here. They pull back up that window. It's right here. We're just going to type in 192.168.1.1 and then we'll click tab, and that should auto-complete the subnet mask, but also double check to make sure it's the right one. Back to that window, and then we can just X out of here, and when you X out, it should just stay this left in there. Do the same thing for PC2. IP configuration, scroll back up here to get the IP address. Here's PC2. This one is 192.168.1.1. Hit tab. Oh, I typed in the wrong one. Do 192.168.1.2. I forgot to put 2 at the end. Then click tab for the subnet mask. Alright, let's go back in here. Step 2, test connectivity to switches. X out of here. Click PC1. Close the IP configuration window if it is still open, which we just closed it. In the desktop tab, click command prompt. Here's the desktop tab. They want us to go to command prompt. Just click there. Type in the ping command. So ping and the IP address for switch 1 and press enter. So it'll look like this. They give you the whole command right there. So type in ping 192.168.1.253. Enter. It'll say pinging 192.160.1.253. Here's the request timed out. Just keep waiting. Request timed out. There should be 4 of them. Here's another one. And there's the last one. And you know it's done when you get back to your prompt. So this was failed. Did not go through. It says packet sent 4, received 0, lost 4. So there's 100% loss. You want it to be 100%. You don't want 100% loss. You want 0. There's a question: were you successful? And explain. We were not successful because the switches weren't configured with IP addresses properly yet. So we're going to have to go do that next. Part 3. Configure the switch management interface. Configure switch 1 and switch 2 with an IP address. Step 1. Configure switch 1 with an IP address. Switches can be used as a plug-and-play devices. This means that they do not need to be configured for them to work. Switches forward information from one port to another based on MAC addresses. If this is the case, why would you configure it with an IP address? So the answer is you can configure with an IP address in order for you to connect remotely to a switch. You need to assign it an IP address. The default configuration on the switch is to have the management of the switch controlled through VLAN 1. So if you want to use it for remote connectivity, you have to have an IP address. Use the following commands to configure switch 1 with an IP address. So let's just X that here. Click on switch 1. Let's type in configure space terminal, hit enter, and then we're going to type in, we're just going to go through these commands. We're going to type in interface VLAN 1, enter, IP address 192.168.1.253 space 255.255.255.0. Now what this command does is we went into the configuration mode for this. Then we type an IP address. This calls on the command to set an IP address. This is the IP address for the switch. So we scroll up here, switch 1, there's that IP address, and there's the subnet mask. Let's go back where we were. So we gotta hit enter, and that command works. Then type in no shutdown, hit enter, enter again, then type in exit, and then enter. The question, why do you enter the no shutdown command? The no shutdown command administratively places the interface in an active state. So it just sets the interface to an active state. Step 2, configure switch 2 with an IP address. Use the information in addressing table to configure S2 with an IP address. So we're just going to X out of here, click on switch 2. We're going to follow these exact same commands. Type in configure, terminal, enter, interface, VLAN 1, enter, IP address, and now we gotta scroll up here to find the switch 2. We're gonna set the IP address to be 192.168.1.254. Make sure I was right, 192.168.1.254. Alright, space, and in the subnet mask, you'll do 255.255.255.0. Just like that. Hit enter, and that should work. And type in no shutdown, no space, shutdown, enter, enter, then type in exit, enter. Alright, now let's back down here. Step 3, verify the IP address configuration on switch 1 and switch 2. Use the show IP interface brief command to display the IP address and status of all the switches, ports, and interfaces. You can also use the show running config command. And now to verify the IP address configuration on switch 1 and switch 2, you can type in, let me make sure I'm down here, show IP interface brief, hit enter, hold on. Or I'm supposed to do, type in do show run, hit enter, and then it'll run this command. So all you gotta do is click the spacebar to view more a few times. And then you can see up here, here's our IP address that's been configured. And you can do that on both switches. We'll just go X out of that one, back to switch 1, type in do show run, hit enter, space a few times, and here's the IP address we added for that one. So the next thing I do is step 4, Save configurations for switch 1 and switch 2 to NVRAM. So the answer to this question is copy space running dash config space startup dash config. In step 5, verify network connectivity. Network connectivity can be verified using the ping command. It is very important that connectivity exists throughout the network. Corrective action must be taken if there is a failure. Ping S1 and S2 from PC1 and PC2. So click on PC1, and then click the desktop tab, which we're in. Click on the command prompt, and then once you type in ping to ping the address, and then the address for PC2. So let's scroll back up to the top. PC2 is going to be 192.168.1.2 and hit enter. It'll be pinging, and it's got a reply. It got all 4 replies. So it'll say packet sent 4, received 4, lost 0. So there's a 0% loss. And that is good. That's exactly what you want to see. Let's go back down here. And they want us to click PC1, ping it to PC2, switch 1 to switch 2. So let's do that real quick. So let's do switch 1, so ping space, and then you'll type in the address for switch 1, 192.168.1.253. Hit enter, it'll be pinging. Let's see what happens. So here we got 1 that was failed and 3 that were sent. It'll say packet sent equals 4, device received equals 3, lost equals 1. There's 25% loss. So we're just going to retry that one more time, and usually it works the second time. So instead of retyping this whole command, you can hit the up arrow on your keyboard. It'll go to your last command you've done, and you can just shuffle through them like that. And just hit enter. And here we got all 4 replies immediately. So let's now do it again for switch 2. Ping, then let's do the IP address for switch 2. It's 192.168.1.254. Enter. And here it's pinging. Let's see what happens. We have 1 that was timed out and 1 that went through. Let's try it again one more time. And there we got all 4 went through. So let's scroll back down and see the next step. So note that you can also use the ping command on the switch CLI and on PC2. So if you want, you can go to the switches 1 and 2 and through PC2 if you want to, and go through and test everything out. All pings should be successful. If your first ping results in 80%, try again. It should now be 100%. You will learn why a ping may sometimes fail the first time later in your studies. If you're unable to ping any of the devices, recheck your configuration for errors. So that should work. And that'll be it. If you look down here on the completion, it says 100. That means you are done and you've completed all the tasks they wanted you to complete. So if you enjoyed the video or learned something, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.